Broadcast Network. This is Television Nigerian, a broadcast giving you the very best in online and offline television programming. Situated in the serene environment of Guzape, Abuja FCT, TVN, as it is fondly called, caters to a wide variety of audience via carefully orchestrated mind-blowing programs in the areas of fashion, business, politics, entertainment, religion, movies, food and health, culture and lifestyle, events around the globe, sports and foreign news. Whatever your inclination, we've got you completely covered with programs like Issues of the Moment, The Patriot, Daybreak Nigeria, Matter Africa, TVN Business Time, Healthy Living, From the Cradle, Stay Inspired, Entertainment Gist, Movie Hour, Hits Paradise, among others. All designed to keep you thoroughly informed, entertained, at the edge of your seat and yearning for more. A tour around our domain will reveal a highly dedicated staff force and a state-of-the-art facility and equipment for high-definition quality broadcast, making our station your number one choice in advertising your business and propagating your ideas. We are currently on NightComSat doing our test transmission for takeoff in the nearest future. Television Nigerian is located in Nigeria at Television Nigerian House, Guzape Hilltop Mansion, beside Guzape White House, Guzape Abuja FCT, and in the United Kingdom at 45 Ancient House, 48 Aerodrome Road, Beaufort Park, Colindale, London. For inquiries,
It is day 4 of the lockdown of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, Lagos and Ogun states over the ravaging coronavirus which has literally brought the whole world to its knees. So many other states in Nigeria have joined in curtailing the movement of people in and out of their boundaries, alongside several other measures aimed at curtailing the viral spread. Now, welcome to Situation Room of Television Nigerian. We're reaching you live from our Hilltop Studios in Guzape, Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. On this platform, we'll update you on what is happening in and around the globe with situation reports from several cities in Nigeria and across the world. And of course, in anticipation of your active participation. So welcome to the Situation Room. I am Charles Ibe. And with me in the room this day is
Daniel Atai.
And of course,
May 11.
May 11. You are welcome, gentlemen, to the Situation Room.
Thank you for having us.
All right, before we go into the nitty-gritties of what is happening, we'll just take this quick break. So please don't go anywhere. The Situation Room in a moment.
I pledge to Nigeria, my country. So goes the opening lines of the 6-line National Pledge of Nigeria. Today, not a few, whether young or old, merely recite the National Pledge as a matter of routine or tradition, with their hearts being poles apart from the very spirit, creed, and essence of the pledge. Many simply do not understand its purport or feel the import of it, while many others choose to observe the pledge in breach only. Today we have decided to walk on the footpath of the very words of the National Pledge, keeping its vision and essence in our hearts, in our souls, and in our minds.
I pledge
Nigeria,
my country,
to be faithful,
loyal, and honest,
to serve Nigeria with all my strength,
to defend her unity,
and uphold her honor and glory.
So help me God. Nigeria, no doubt, will truly be the giant of Africa, developed and well rated on all indices, if her national pledge is treated with sacred obedience, it's on us, it's our duty and responsibility to make this country a better place. Let's live the pledge.
Thanks for staying tuned, and if you're just joining, it is still the Situation Room on Television Nigerian, and we have a situation at hand, COVID-19 pandemic. Gentlemen,
Yes.
day 4. How has it been?
It only gets better. I've been trying to study situation, things that are happening around. I picked a story from Lagos where they talked about the infectious disease hospital, where they discharged 11 people who are no more testing positive to COVID-19. And I said, okay, would we say this was a way to also focus on those who have already been quarantined to treat or see if the issue or the symptoms can be reduced to a minimal, if possible, non-visible level? Now, because now the focus has changed, and the focus is we're looking at those who are quarantined. Now, what is happening to them? Then I also said, okay, if this is it, what happens? They said they double-checked these people before they allowed them to go into. But what do we think stigmatization now? Would it play a role inside? When these people get back to the communities they came from, and someone says, we are not too sure with the way Nigeria has handled the issue, some people have no full trust in the medical sector.
Of course.
They see it like it is a failure already on its part. So they might start thinking, can I accept this person back? We need to watch how we behave around this person because we are not sure if the test went wrong. One day they will come and say, we had a mistake in the test.
Yeah. So, Mr. Dan, what do you really say?
Just like he said, the issue of stereotyping and stigmatization, of course, do arise in this part of the country and this part of the world that we are. However, I don't think from the symptoms of COVID-19, which I could assume that one way or the other everybody has it, you have that symptom, not necessarily, nobody have died from COVID-19 related symptom in Nigeria except those who died abroad, who are Nigerians. Two cases, reported cases that died, they died abroad. They lived there, they went there for medical treatment, they contracted it there and they died there. So I have not seen any record where somebody here in Nigeria contracted it, got infected and died of it here in this part of the world. And that is an issue to also think about the general concept of this COVID-19 and the symptom that is going around.
All right, now, going from what he said, May, do you think, and also given the fact that it's the elites so far that have been announcing have COVID-19, and nobody has died from what he said right here in Nigeria, so perhaps this Nigerian strain is quite different from what is happening outside. Is it right for someone to assume?
Well, I would like to say we share basically similar, let's say, yes, or should I use the word synonymous now? We share synonymous climates with most African nations. And we heard of Botswana's president that was tested positive. Recently he's been tested again and he's negative. So I feel maybe there is just a lot to do with the immune system.
Okay.
The immune system plays a major role in this whole thing. Looking at the fact that as time goes on, our immune system seems to develop to be able to face the situation at hand. First set of people who were dying from coronavirus, we heard people fell and they slumped and died.
Died just like that.
Although there's a case that has been on my mind when they talked about someone who, it's an alleged story, it was alleged that the person was hit by the police force. And on another story, there was the police force, I think through their spokesperson, came out to say that was a man who slumped. So I asked the question, was there any forensic investigation taken on this person, autopsy, to know the actual cause of death? Why would this person just slump at a time like this?
Okay.
Could it be that there is an intense level to this very coronavirus that we're not looking at? Maybe we're looking at the peripheral, the one that we know, the symptoms. What if after 2 weeks of this person quarantining himself, he went out and this time it had become something else because of poor immune system?
Okay, Daniel, like immune system, then people in quarantine, the situations around surrounding what they have been going through. I think we've had a report of some of the survivors giving out their experience. I think I recently saw in the news, I think the son of the former vice president, then he will soon be out. And also he said the president's daughter has reunited with the family and all of that. So, given all of this, should we really be scared about coronavirus?
No, we shouldn't be scared. We shouldn't be scared at all about COVID-19. In one of our analyses 2 days ago, I told you that, and that concept is beginning to outplay, and very soon, all over the world media, you will begin to know that, of course, the real cause of COVID-19 will soon be released, and you'll get to know why it is that infectious and very contagious in Europe and America and Asia than in part of Africa, where the ideal cause, which I may not want to begin to preempt things here because of international organizations' interest in it. I would like to say that Africa is more safer because more or less it is a technological warfare, like I said, supremacy towards technology.
Or a fallout of that.
A fallout of the effect is what is happening, because each time there is a new innovation in technological advancement, surely pandemic like this comes, and it often affects people within that geographical locations and where those radars seems to be implanted and used in large quantities or in large numbers. However, the daughter of Mr. President, it was a fear and to follow the precaution given by the NCDC that if you are coming from Europe and America or Asia now, you have to isolate yourself whether you are positive or not, so that people will get to, will not have the fear that you are contagious. So you have to isolate yourself for 14 days and perhaps be quarantined
and then
tested. That was what the daughter of Mr. President did, and you saw the mother Aisha Buhari happy today reuniting with the daughter after COVID-19 separated them for 2 weeks. The same is true with Atiku Abubakar's son. So it has to do with immunity too. People ordinarily within the age of 60 above, of course, they have low immune system, and you could tell that even normal malaria could kill them. Not to talk of what is affecting your body cells, the cells that generate or regenerate your strength and making all your body organs to function effectively. So if that body cells drop, all organs drops, and that is why people at that age seems to die quickly. But we have a case of a 92-old lady, I think is it in Netherlands, that survived the COVID-19.
Yeah, miracles still.
Miracle still happens.
All right, miracles still happen, and we keep hoping that the miracle of COVID-19 will just wake up, and then the story will be waved away like that, and then we'll return back to normalcy. So much to talk about. It is still the Situation Room. Right now we have to go to the news desk to bring you up to speed with what is happening, especially about COVID-19. And also a quick reminder that you can also be part of this program. The numbers for you to call are on the screen. You can call us and tell us how you've been coping with the lockdown. If you are in Lagos, Abuja, Ogun State, and then also, of course, other states that have closed their borders, closed their airports and all of that. How has it been affecting you? But that will be when we'll come back after this news break. Stay tuned. Here are some news updates for Friday, the 3rd of April 2020. Nigeria on Thursday recorded 10 new cases of COVID-19, bringing the total confirmed cases to 184. Out of the new cases, 7 are in Lagos and 3 in Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. The Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, announced that out of the 184 confirmed cases of COVID-19 reported in Nigeria, 20 have recovered and been discharged, with 2 deaths recorded. A breakdown of the cases by states in real time currently has Lagos leading with 98 cases, followed by the FCT with 38 cases. Osun State trails the FCT with 14 cases, Oyo State has 8 cases, Akwa Ibom has 5, Ogun and Edo are tied at 4 cases, Kaduna and Bauchi State has 3 cases, Enugu and Ekiti has 2 recorded cases, while Rivers and Benue brings up the rear with 1 case of the virus each. President Muhammadu Buhari on Thursday directed the Ministry of Finance and National Planning to ensure prompt payment of workers' salaries henceforth to cushion the hardship in the wake of the ongoing lockdown to check the spread of the novel coronavirus nationwide. He also ordered the ministry to ensure the protection of critical infrastructure like road and rail, as well as seek inputs locally to strengthen the nation's economy and protect the poor and the vulnerable. This came after the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning and Chairman of Presidential Panel to review the impact of the coronavirus on the economy, Hajia Zainab Ahmed, briefed the President on the latest developments relating to the scourge. A member of the committee and Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Timi Silva, admitted that the economy was not in the best of shape owing to the COVID-19 outbreak and the free fall of oil prices, hence the need for the constant briefing of the President, while the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, added that economic growth problems that might eventually lead to recession are likely expectations in times of global pandemic. The federal government on Thursday attributed the increase in the number of COVID-19 infections in the country to the nation's porous borders, predicting that there could be more infections in the eastern flank of the country as people move on foot across borders. Chairman of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 and Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustapha, at the daily briefing of the task force revealed that the federal government, as a result, will put in place measures to control movement of nomadic herdsmen who go across borders in search of greener pastures for their cattle. The federal government also appealed to state governments to establish expandable 300-bed capacity facilities to hold suspected cases of the virus before they are transferred to isolation and treatment centers. The Presidential Task Force on the novel coronavirus pandemic has said it has no control over the multi-billion naira contributions so far been announced by various donors towards the fight against the pandemic. Chairman of the task force and secretary to the government of the Federation, Boss Mustapha, who gave the clarifications on the operations of his special group, said the only thing so far received by the task force was the materials donated by the founder of Alibaba Group, Jack Ma. According to Mustapha, there are 4 fronts through which governments, organizations, individuals and bodies had rallied to pool resources together to fight the COVID-19 in Nigeria, adding that only one of these fronts is linked directly to his task force. These 3 fronts, he said, had their independent governance structures for the management of the resources, both financial and material, generated within their loops, adding that they all had the auditing mechanisms over which the Nigerian government had no control, stating emphatically that the Presidential Task Force has not received any donation directly in terms of cash for this exercise. And that's the news update at this time on Television Nigerian. Thanks for watching. I am Charles. Welcome back. Just a quick update. The numbers of the cases in Nigeria has risen to 190 as at 11 a.m. today. 6 additional cases in Osun State, bringing the total number of cases in Osun to 20. So, on the whole, we have 190 cases in Nigeria and counting. 20 has recovered and been released with 2 fatalities. Gentlemen, we've had the update from the news and then from what is happening every other place in Nigeria. So, still talking about how this situation is being handled, especially the lockdown. You talked about the people in quarantine and all of that, the situation. We might still get back to that. But then, in Nigeria, this is 4 days lockdown of the Federal Capital Territory. A lot of people have complained. A lot of people, day one, it was like, it was not going to be. Now, 4 days, how has it been? Let's share our personal experiences.
Well, it's been very, very terrible for those who are small, medium scale entrepreneurs and those who go out daily for their livelihoods to feed their families. I bet they are not categorized under the poorest of Nigerians, as the Minister of Humanitarian and Disaster Management said, Sadia. And from the presidential statement, of course, you record that even those who have small-scale businesses doing, and as a result of the heat, we are closed down, they had to follow protocol on how to get loans. And some of these protocols are tedious. And that could make them never to access such a loan at all. So, in a nutshell, I will appraise the government, the FG law, on succor, on palliatives. I would say the performance of the response from the federal government is very, very technically and very low in terms of helping people who have to shut down as a result of this pandemic and lockdown, to be honest.
All right, so Mr. May,
Well, first off, this is a time of patriotism. This is a time where you see how patriotic a person is. And that's why I don't want to look at when they say someone came from the foreign countries and had themselves quarantined because of fear. I like to say it's because of precaution and prevention. Now you're trying to avoid something of that magnitude, of that nature, spreading inside your country. You're already aware of your mingling.
Yes.
And so you're just trying to make sure that you're keeping yourself away for a while, just to make sure that someone else out there is not infected. That was the first. Then looking at the situation on the ground, I think Nigeria is at a point where we like to see answers now. Gone are the days where we just hear the talking.
Yeah.
People want to see answers. I feel even though it is hard on us, people want to see other things in action. It's not just telling us there is a pandemic and we are tied down, so let us just stay in our houses now. But they want to see, okay, while we are in our houses, what are you doing to make the situation better? I was following the Benue State story, and I like the idea that they were trying to move fast. Governor Utom had to take a field trip looking at markets and other places and told the parks and markets to close, stopped the interstate transportation, and immediately he's trying to get fumigation, I think, to happen between today or so, to fumigate the place. Now, people want to see government in action. So when they see it in action, yes, I might be hungry, but I'm looking at you that you're trying to do something for me. Well, in action, if we say, I think the Nasil Microfinance Bank, they just released it that you cannot apply for a loan. I think they dropped their link today or so.
No, they dropped it 4 days ago.
And
stringent measures, like I said.
That is the thing. Now, the question now
condition is not.
They want to see government in action.
Yeah.
I think it's a positive step. I mean, dropping the opening of their portal that you can actually apply. Even though the measures are stringent, some Nigerians will still meet up.
The ordinary Nigerians will not be able. You are not employed, and you've been asked, for instance, your employment letter or your termination letter,
or your last bank statement,
your last 6-month bank statement, not just last month's statement.
So we could say it's tailored for it.
And if you are neither in this category, you are to present a guarantor, and you could assume the status of that guarantor. You understand? So I think that the government should always take the people first. In countries, first world countries, where we are emulating or imitating, I think citizen is a citizen, and we have to guide for citizens' right.
Well, that's true.
Patriotism is a question of you do your part as a government, I do my part as a citizen. Collectively, we become patriotic. If it's just like somebody would say that loyalty is a consequence of responsibility. You can't get my loyalty if you are not responsible to certain degree in what and how my life is being lived. I get what I'm saying?
Yes.
The Nigerian, the ordinary Nigerian, was bred, brought up in hardship, started a business by himself, maybe went to school, which were not free, primary, secondary, tertiary perhaps, graduated, paid indirect taxes during this period. You came out, you have to create a job for yourself, and then the government, out of their own patriotic quelling of pandemic, shut you down.
For your own safety.
For your own safety per se. You know also that you have been safeguarding your life, because
But not from a pandemic.
not from a pandemic though,
Ordinary
but
times.
in all this that we have passed through, shouldn't it be wise for a caring government, for a responsible government, for a patriotic government to see these billions, let me dish it out and help my people stay at home?
All right, now they've started this dishing out, the conditional cash transfer. On Wednesday, we saw the Minister for Humanitarian Affairs in Kwali local government area dishing out 5,000 to households. I think they have a registered day, because they were calling out people from the registered people, and it was so orderly, so organized, and of course they were all wearing their mask.
But you know, my question when they talk about this thing is, when last did they carry out this data analysis that they're sharing or dishing out this 5,000? People migrate, people get jobs, move into the federal capital territory, people lose their jobs in the federal capital territory. So how do you know who really needs money? It's more than just
at this point in time. You
it's more
understand?
than just what you even have, or a data analysis of 2 years ago, 3 years ago. You have to look at the fact that people have been moving. A lot has happened. Even the person who was, you looked at and said he could not live under, like, he was living under, let's say, 200 or 400 a day. Possibly you don't know if he's living on 1,000 naira a day now.
Has upgraded.
Or the person who was living on 1,000 naira fell to live below.
Okay.
Now you skip these persons. I saw a video moving around. We're not too sure about the video yet, where someone showed 3 loaves of bread and 3 small rice. Let's say it should be something like tutumudu.
Yeah.
And said it was brought to be shared for a community of 60 houses. Now, I don't know if, since some people are saying it is the end time, people are expecting the whole multiplying bread and fish miracle to happen. Because I was wondering, how would 60 households share
such
3 loaves of bread? And I mean,
perhaps maybe when they cook that rice has a way of multiplying.
And when you are talking about data, you see, we tend to overlook certain things, and it is not good for us as a nation that wants to grow. How difficult is it to access data during the electioneering campaign? For instance, I and you know that now everywhere is quiet, but when it is time, when they're approaching time for elections, you will see INEC will come out. Even the nook and cranny of this country, INEC will be there
to ensure
that people get their registration done, have their voters card, and even in that, they still politicize it on where should have higher number of what? Registration for voters card carriers.
And not forgetting the fact that at the end of the day, some of these people will still not go for their cards.
They may not even be allowed to vote. But however, I'm just trying to get something clear. The data gathered from INEC, the voters card that we carry is a valid means of identification. And eligibility starts from 18 years. The government got it right at that point. When it comes to giving citizens, eligible citizens, succor, solace, palliatives, the government seems to be looking for poorest of the poor. how sincere could this government be? If we could be made to be decision makers about who lead us in the country through the voters registration, how then would you say we are not eligible to benefiting from same governance that we enthroned? So the irony is myopism, is wickedness, is unpreparedness, and we have to holistically fight such system. A system that takes from you and wouldn't give back to you. It is not a good system that a patriotic citizen should be proud of. If you go to US or UK or even Asia continent, people are proud to call themselves citizens. I'm a US citizen. I'm a UK citizen. Even Nigerians who have dual citizenship are bragging and proud of
being a foreigner.
Being a foreigner before they are even to be referred to as Nigerians. When are we going to get to that point? And I think this is 21st century. It is happening now. The pandemic has started, and God knows how and when it will travel to us here. I'm talking about traveling here with devastating effect if we begin to use what led to it. However, if we truly, as a government, wants to help our citizens, there are various ways of data collation that you don't need any register, any handmade register. Like I said, the INEC is one. The INEC has a very bona fide register and data collation of Nigerians.
The banks.
The CBN is another one, which is another good institution where people who have bank account, your BVN can just within a digit comes out, your bank account, your name, even your address, your telephone number will come out. The National Population Center is another one. I mentioned it the other day. The National Bureau for Statistics have our data too.
Well, most of those ones are head counts. We are talking about reaching out to individuals. Now, you did mention something like banks. You could argue that there are a lot of Nigerians above 18 that don't have a bank account. They don't even have, what they are doing doesn't warrant them to go to the bank.
Well,
I mean, they feed from hand to mouth.
If you get to their father or get to their brother, it will get to
What
them.
about the father who doesn't have?
We shouldn't encourage charlatanism. We shouldn't encourage such thing at all, because one, if you are making business in this 21st century, or you are not even doing business, and a patriotic person, or at least somebody who is existing in this world now, should have a bank account.
Well, there has been so much talk about unemployment. It has,
in this country,
it has been for the longest time. So people want to work. A lot of millions of Nigerians graduate every day from universities, no job. They want to work. Some want to start something. There is basically no life,
no money
no
to
power,
start it,
no enabling environment, so to speak. So, what's fault of theirs is it? You are talented, you are skilled, there is so much you wanted to do, but the environment is not there. The supporting infrastructure is not there. What do you do? And you say they must have a bank account. What would they put in that account? I think those some banks have started encouraging zero.
Yeah, there is zero account. Yeah.
Just put it there so that keep hoping whenever something drops, it will get there. But I think it's all a wake-up call for Nigerians. I mean, governance, not just governance, every Nigerian. We've talked about, you mentioned the BVN, you mentioned the voter card. A lot of people did not bother about voter registration. Those that did, most people did not go to collect their PVCs. I mean, times like this would have been a very good opportunity. Government announced, okay, if you have your BVN, I'm going to give you 2,000 or 1,000. I trust you. Trust me, all Nigerians from wherever they are will start looking for their BVN. And those who had abandoned it years ago and their PVCs will start scrambling to get it so that they be able to be.
Maybe the national ID card.
The national ID card.
Something that is supposed to be more compulsory.
Yeah, exactly.
Some people might decide, I don't want to own a bank account. Some might decide, I don't want to own a voter's card.
Yes.
But you need to have an identity that shows you're from this part of the group.
Yes, the NIMC office is another data bank.
And that is
so what are we
problem.
talking about?
I registered for NIMC a couple of years ago. Till the
You
last
haven't
time I
gotten
checked,
your-
I haven't got. They said they are going to send you a message.
Yes,
Put
I've been
this
waiting for
go-
that message.
I'm
You've not
waiting
collected
for
your
that.
slip,
I
the first
haven't-
slip.
I have the slip.
Eh?
I went there.
It's
They said
authentic.
you have to wait. But I mean, for how long does it have to take for you to get
And that is the
piece
country
of
we are
material?
talking about, and that is why I said it is left for I and you. We need to rebuild a new nation.
Yes.
We just have to. We cannot collaterate our future with this kind of system continuously, and we think we want things to change. For change to begin, it begins from I and you. I and you have to push. We have to push using all available legal and civil means to ensure that the future is taken to our palm and we control it with the speed of the 21st century environment.
All
If
right.
not, we will remain where we are.
Perhaps change might need a good catalyst, and perhaps
Sorry.
COVID-19 is that catalyst that we need for that change, because every Nigerian is now conscious of what should be
Exactly.
because of the level of preparedness.
preparedness,
Yeah, so this is a good time for us to talk about change. This is a good time for us to talk about patriotism. This is a good time for us to remind our leaders that you
About
are
governance.
not. I mean, governance should be all inclusive. This is a good time for every Nigerian to stand up, start demanding for your rights, demand for accountabilities for your leaders, and let's hope that Nigeria gets better than it is right now.
Yeah.
We will take a quick break, and when we come back, the Situation Room continues. Please don't go anywhere.
In a bid to contain the further spread of the coronavirus pandemic, we are here to talk about proper hand hygiene, which is one of the handy preventive measures. My name is Elvis Oga, and you are watching APR Health Tips on African Patriot Radio. You can follow us and like our page on our social media platforms at African Patriot Radio. Hand hygiene is the act of or practice of cleaning hands for the purpose of removing soil, dirt, grease, and microorganisms, and this can be achieved by hand washing with soap and water, and also the use of hand sanitizers. So let's dish out the proper ways hands should be washed and the proper ways hand sanitizers should be used. For hand washing, it is advisable we follow these steps every time. Wet your hands with clean running water, warm or cold, and apply soap. Lather your hands by rubbing them together with the soap. Lather the back of your hands between your fingers and under your nails. Scrub your hands for at least 20 seconds. Need a timer? Okay, let me give you one. Hum the happy birthday song from beginning to end twice, like happy birthday, there you go. Rinse your hands well under clean running water. Dry your hands using a clean towel or air dry them. And for hand sanitizers, laboratory studies from Center for Disease Control and Prevention show alcohol-based sanitizers made from 60% ethanol and 70% isopropanol are able to inactivate viruses genetically related to COVID-19. These alcohol-based sanitizers are simple and convenient to use. They are often easy to find as well. However, the effectiveness of these sanitizers when used is based on several factors, ranging from product to quantity to proper technique and consistency. To use hand sanitizers correctly, place the recommended amount from the manufacturer's direction in the palm of one hand. Rub your hands together, covering your entire hand, including between your fingers. Stop rubbing in the sanitizers only once your skin is dry. Do this frequently. It is important to note, since sanitizers are alcohol-based, it is advisable to keep them out of reach of children because their intake could be harmful to one's health. Before we wrap it up, let's quickly take a look at the proper and correct ways of using face masks, since they could come handy during this period. Colored side out if you are sick and do not want to spread the germs around. Faint side, this is the filter part for when you are not sick and you want to stop the germs from getting in. I hope you find this helpful. I'm Elvis Oga. Let's endeavor to adhere to the tips. Keep watching APR Exclusive and stay safe.
Welcome back. It is still the Situation Room of Television Nigeria, looking at the COVID-19 situation, how Nigerians have been coping, what government has been doing, what government has not been doing, what citizens think about what is going on. And like I did say at the beginning, it is interactive, and we'll hope that you will call into the Situation Room. Tell us how the lockdown has been affecting you, affecting your community, affecting someone you know somewhere, and of course, how Nigerians can help in managing the situation. It is a situation we have at hand, and how we go about it will go a long way in telling how the future of Nigeria will be.
And for the sake of the vision impaired, the numbers displayed on your screens are 081 3701 5949 or 070 5432 7616. Of course, if you are calling from outside the country, Nigeria, you can put the country code +234. Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, the phone lines are open right now, so we expect your calls. And there are also a lot of people that are on standby. But before we get to that, before we start taking calls, like you said, it's like we did say before we went on that break.
Yes.
Catalyst for change.
Yes.
COVID-19 as a catalyst for change. Maybe we should do a special report on that. Sounds good. But then let me ask, what structural adjustment should Nigerians be talking about right now? We know we had SAP, Structural Adjustment Program. So now this one is not a government designed. As individuals, what should families be doing right now? What should Nigerians be thinking about adjustment from their ways of life, especially when it comes to economy?
Well, I would like to focus on the fact that families are going to be more brought together at this time. Families will be brought together at this time. But the major thing families will have to learn is hygiene, proper hygiene. Now, it's more than just saying you eat balanced diet. There are now more things to add to that. Now, even on the part of that balanced diet, you can't carry out hygiene if you don't have the food to even carry out the balanced diet in the line of hygiene. I'd like to pick something that a discussion I had with Chief Philip Agbese some time back. He made a statement, a valid point. He said, don't fear man, but fear hunger. Now, I'm looking at everything, whether we try to say this is the adjustment we need to do. You see, the major thing that is bringing about the little lapses in this shutdown has everything to do with hunger. Nobody has complained about I can't go to my normal social hangout. Nobody has complained about I can't even go to see my friend. But they complain about hunger.
Which is true.
It's not even about money. Even though money is a means to an end, but the hunger might just be the catalyst. The COVID-19 might be something that will give you awareness. It is giving awareness in different countries and continents. It's making people aware that we thought our government was working, but it was in this aspect. Now you are getting to see your government's flaws in some other aspects. Where you find that in the United States, they tell you they've run out of some things that they need. There are countries where they started using the bean bags to cover because they didn't have the face mask again. They ran out of it. And you're looking at these nations and you're saying, so this nation can suffer this thing.
Kind of situation.
China reopened their market, and as of today, there's a story about their markets being closed again.
Okay. There is if I may come in this way, you asked what adjustment program should we undertake now, and the catalyst to driving the new Nigeria or the new African continent. Let me first of all quote Nelson Mandela in one of his statements about people flying abroad from African continent. He said, there will come a time where African leaders will not see Europe, America, and Asia safe enough to travel to, but they will see Africa more safer than this continent, so they will remain within. Now, when I ponder about that statement, this COVID-19 pandemic issue brought my memory into that statement, and I began to wonder, this man said this thing long time ago, maybe 1992, not even when he came to power, and this is what is happening. Could it be what he is saying? In the African continent, we have been endowed with natural, mineral resources. If you talk about brains, individual potentialities from the curricula given to us by the Western nations, we could say we are even better. So in a situation like this, we have arable lands where if Africa wants to capitalize on this pandemic, we can become the food hub of the world. One, pandemic cannot stop us from growing food that we can eat instead of importing them.
But not when there are still some lockdown in place.
The lockdown will soon be over. The lockdown will soon be over. Because the pandemic may continue in so many continents, and it will take a long time to get vaccination, because the real thing has not even come here. When the real thing comes, just like we are seeing in China, in Spain, in Italy, in America, USA, we'll be thinking of vaccines and microchips, implants to prevent this disaster or the virus.
But Professor Morrissey did mention that vaccines will still be out. And in that vein, I don't think he was talking about chips or stuff. I think he was talking about...
I believe he once came up with one that he was in the United States for a clinical test. For that.
Perhaps maybe he's trying to expand on that.
I believe that is why I said we have people who have studied in this part of the world, but because the laxity of our government and the enabled environment or system do not allow us to exhibit what we know. And even if we exhibit, nobody tends to believe in you, because maybe you are not a professor from Harvard, you're not a professor from, Cambridge, and so on. So there is this stereotyping again in the academic world. And people even stigmatize you based on your qualification in this part of the world.
But I also feel it, even if we have vaccines to take or to prevent us from this, it doesn't make sense if you find the vaccine today and we go back to our normal lives. It means you take medicine to be healed only to go back to the environment that will give you. So I feel right now, yes, the vaccine is not around. Yes, there might be a larger thing to come, of which we are not sure. It is just based on, let's say, theories for now.
It's not even theory, it's still based on speculation. Because the real theory, by the time we uncover it...
But the thing is, we need to go and make sure we are safe from where we are. You see, many states are beginning to join in the lockdown. I think Uyo, that's Governor Emmanuel Udom, Akwa Ibom, sorry. He has also joined in. Benue State is working towards that. The governor and his deputy had their own test for coronavirus.
Yes.
They are waiting for their results. The results are not out yet, I think. But we need to go and make sure where we are coming out of. Some of these things, in as much as we see them and we say, oh, they said it came from here, when you touch here, you travel to a foreign land. These things come, and some of these viruses and bacteria and all, they now find a home in our own settlement. The way we have arranged our settlement becomes a home for them.
Okay. All right. I think we have a caller. We have a caller online. Hello, Jacqueline from London. Hello.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
You are live on air. You are live on television, Nigerian. Hello.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Jacqueline.
Hi, can I first off say a great big thank you to all you guys in the media for your excellent job.
Thank you very much.
I understand that this is a very difficult period. I would like to give a brief insight into the situation here in London and also in Germany, my home country, which I am in touch with.
Okay, please do go ahead.
For London and the UK in general, there was a change of strategy from the herd immunity strategy to this lockdown situation that we currently have, which most people are now complying with. So generally, there is a high rate of testing in the UK, with over 7,000 tests being carried out per day. I also have followed the Nigerian case via your platform, and I must commend the Nigerian government for their proactive measures in shutting down the country. I would, however, advise them to ramp up the testing in order to truly ascertain how many people are infected by the disease.
Okay, all right.
Okay, all right. Now, Jacqueline, you are still with us?
Yes.
Okay, now, what is the general atmosphere in London, in the UK, about amidst the people? What is the outlook towards this COVID-19? What is the general outlook towards this COVID-19? Is it that of panic? Is it that of one of those things? How are the people taking the whole situation? Hello?
No, she's coming. She's listening.
Hello?
We're all good. There's no such thing as, this whole panic outbreak. We take each day as it comes, trying to stay safe and complying with, new rules or guidelines being set out by our government.
Okay. Now, in terms of palliatives, how is the government of UK responding to citizens' needs in times like this? Perhaps something, one or two things that Africans can borrow a leaf from.
So in terms of provisions, one example that I can give is that government has, for now, frozen all mortgage payments, giving us about 3-4 months of a relief, in order to help us, cope with other daily situations. Also, people are generally taking a more relaxed approach into, making sure that their households or all members of the households are safe and cared for. So generally speaking, we have an easygoing life at the minute because we understand the situation, and so far as in terms of government help, they're doing a lot to support each and every household. So, we take each day as it comes, really.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jacqueline. Finally, in terms of time, the duration, Nigerian government announced 14 days lockdown over the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, and some other states in the country as a means of curtailing the spread. How long do you have the situation in the UK? For how long are you envisaging? 2 weeks, 1 month, maybe?
3 to 4 months, she said.
Hello? Hello?
Oh, she's coming.
We have an initial 21 day,
Okay.
but we're also told that it could last up to June. So there is no set period as of yet. So we are just waiting, whenever government issues another period, we just go by it. But in general, we can't really put a finger on it, how long this.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Jacqueline, for calling into our APR situation room, the Nigerian news. That has been Jacqueline from London.
Thank you so much.
She said she was going to give a report on Germany as well.
Okay.
She was in touch with. So
Jacqueline, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, could you throw more light on Germany like you said you promised?
So the situation in Germany is kind of similar. I don't know if you already know, they have a slightly lower, infection rate based on them being able to perform more tests than here in the UK. So that aids them in keeping their people and keeping the infection rate slightly at a lower rate. Also, they have general guidelines, this whole lockdown system, as well as the social distancing, which is slightly more stricter than here in the UK. Obviously, they went into lockdown far more earlier than we did, which also helped them in keeping the infection rate slightly at a lower rate.
All right. Let me ask you this one more question, perhaps the last one. Yeah. Has there been any thought or adverse thought in the UK that this pandemic could be a conspiracy?
To be honest, not really, because obviously what we are going through, or what the whole world is going through globally, would be, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a conspiracy theory, because how can I put it? Why would the whole of the world suffer from it? I mean, what is there to gain, really? In the real world, there are real people dying, there are real people getting infected. So I wouldn't put it down as a conspiracy theory. It's a pandemic where the whole world is affected by it, not a part of the world. It's a global pandemic, and we are globally trying to fight it. I mean, obviously every country is fighting it to their best of their ability. So no. It's a sad period we are living in now, and I believe if we put our hands together, if we put our heads together, we can fight it, we can win this pandemic, and hopefully the world can move on from it and we gain back our normal routine. Obviously, the world will be changed as we know it. This will go down in history for the newer generation. So really and truly, all we can do is try and fight it, and make sure that we keep our death rates, our infection rates low, and hopefully at some point in time we can get rid of it altogether.
Thank you very much, Jacqueline, for
Thank you so much
reaching us.
For joining the Situation Room of Television Nigerian.
You're welcome. Have a great day, guys.
Thank you.
All right. You heard one part there. She talked about how many people are tested in a day, like 7,000.
Yes.
Now, we heard from the Minister of Health, that's Dr. Osagio Ehanire, where he talked about new testing capacity per day to be 1,500.
Yes.
And with the new opening of 2 centers in Ebonyi and Ibadan.
Yes.
Now, 1,500. Though we're not looking at the whole states in Nigeria now, showing cases of coronavirus. But let's look at the few places we have, or the few states now that have been mentioned in this fight. 1,500 a day. How long is this going to take? Right now we're on shutdown, which means people are not actually going out there for them to be tested. People are just here. The other day there was this one where they said it's only 2,000 people so far that have been tested for.
All right, hold on. We have Peggy Shande on the line. Peggy, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
All right, you are on to Television Nigerian Situation Room Live. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So what location are you actually right now?
I have just returned from Asokoro. I have been to the airport again. I have also gone to Maitama. I'm just coming back through Asokoro. I have been to Wuse in central area, Po, and other places.
Okay. So what can you generally tell us about these places that you saw today? This is day 4 of the lockdown in the Federal Capital Territory. What is different?
Yes, the situation here in the FCT, Abuja, the police, the immigration, the civil defense, the army, the DSS, and all the uniformed men, they have mounted roadblocks at every few meters away, separated by distance.
Okay. And from your observation, are there situations happening? Are people trying to break the rules? Are people trying to move around? Are the security trying to contain people out of the normal situation?
Say again, sir?
I say, from your observation in all these places that you've been to today, you mentioned that you've seen a lot of security men trying to ensure that the lockdown stays in place. Now,
yes.
Have you witnessed any situation where there are people trying to resist this lockdown, people trying to move around, and the security having to curtail them from doing that?
No. There is no such a thing. People are not outside. Nobody's moving about. There is no situation of resisting the compliance of the lockdown.
Okay,
there is no such situation at all.
So you could say you have 100% compliance in the FCT.
Yes, we have 100% compliance, especially when the number rose from 1 something to 190 this morning.
Okay. Now, you just mentioned the city centers. What about the satellite towns? Have you been to the satellite towns in the FCT?
Yes, I have been to Lugbe, I have been to other places. Those places look very deserted. Every human being that is sitting around their homes are putting on different kinds of masks. Some are putting on black masks, some are putting on white masks, some are putting on all kinds of different masks.
Okay.
The situation at the suburb areas is not different from the metropolitan, sir.
Okay, so what about the shopping centers, the markets? We understand that there are some hours. The government relaxed the curfew for some time. There are some hours that the markets are supposed to be open. Do you have people patronizing these marketplaces, or are they still as empty as it was in the first day?
It is a very delicate situation to open all the markets at the same time. So not all markets are open. What happened is that Garki market was open, and in the morning, 10 o'clock, people were filled up already, and they were buying everything they needed, because in the period so far, it's a situation that you can clearly see that food must have finished, and people were becoming very hungry. So they have already left a long time ago, and it's not all the markets, it's just one I saw in Garki, because they have elapsed the time from 10 to 2.
Okay, now within this time, 10 to 2 p.m., are there a lot of vehicular movements within town for people to access this market?
Yes, the situation is under control because of the levels of roadblocks. The level of roadblocks is also curtailing the fact that COVID-19 is still around, and the officers are restricting not just everybody come out. From what I can see, not everybody was coming out. The vehicles I expected to see were not as many as I expected anyway.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Peggy Shandy, for giving us situation report from the FCT environment.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, we've just heard situation reports. We've heard from London, we heard from Europe, from Germany, and now from the Federal Capital Territory. So, what is peculiar to you in all of this situation?
Yeah, Mr. Charles, you recognize or you heard Jacqueline when she spoke from UK, giving us report from UK and Germany, precisely the precautionary measures that they took, and especially the palliative that the government provided for them. That the initial government lockdown was 21 days, but they have given them 3 to 4 months
to June.
Palliatives. No, not just an order that the mortgages have been stopped. That is, if you are owing the bank and the bank has to come and disturb you, it is put to a stop for now.
Yeah, it's kind of a moratorium.
Yes, and that they've given them stipends that will take them for 4 months. For 4 months, you heard her. You understand? And that is the contrast. I was talking about a responsible government. And a government that is a patriotic one. And if we are to practice democracy, the tenets is same all over the world. We are not in a communist country.
No, we are not.
Even in the communist society of China, I believe they too give palliatives to their citizens.
Yeah, Mr. May, in line with this, the United Kingdom, they are part of the Commonwealth.
Part of the Commonwealth.
And we were actually colonized by the UK. And all of that.
So the colonial mentality.
Why do we have this discrepancy? What do you think could be the cause? Look at how they're taking care of their people. And this is a leaf that was supposed to have borrowed when they handed over the reins of self-governance to Nigeria. Let me not say Africa, Nigeria, because this is where we are. So why is our narrative different?
Well, I think it has a lot to do with when our leaders, those who are ready to have the job done, when they pass these things to people they've assigned, the next question is, those people who are with you, are they, or those people you are with, are they with you? Because you might be with them saying, okay, we need to do this for the people. But when you give them, they do it for a selected set of people.
And that is because of politics.
It's politics.
That is because our political system is not ideologically based.
But it
is party based.
But
it is affiliated.
But didn't they give us what we are practicing?
Well, they did give us, but we changed it along the line. I mean, what party system were we operating before now? There were times when we moved to two-party system, we moved to multi-party system, we're back to... What party system do they do?
And not that we are just practicing party system, or a democratic system that is partisan affiliated. We tend to become bigotry in it, such that it has become like our, something that we must do, like a religion. You understand? Like the breath we breathe. We have become so affiliated with partisan politics that we forgot the essence of the political party and the ideologies that they stand for. And this is why we will continue to remain in the quagmire of underdevelopment.
No, but look at it. We have governors who are trying their best. We cannot just say...
We are not talking about segregation or some people trying, look, some people are not
trying.
You
can't help it.
We have
different states
have different peculiarities.
Different governors. Yeah. Like if you look at the case of the Ebonyi now, the governor Dave Umahi now released 200 million for what? Palliative measures to cushion the sit at home.
Yes.
The question you ask is, how is the money put to use? Who is following how the money is being used? Is there any form where someone is coming back to say, okay, I have to give an account, I need to be accountable for this money that has been disbursed and how it was used. I need to get a feedback from the people. Did you feel the government at this time? Because whether we argue it or not, yes, we need food. Yes, we need basic amenities. We need a lot of things. But in the same way, you need life.
Definitely.
And if you need life, then you must first ask yourself, how do you safeguard your life? If you say the government is not doing anything for us, what are you doing for yourself? Are you going to go out there, endanger yourself, and endanger somebody else? Then they could as well just let the planes come in from anywhere they want to come, and people just get infected with this thing.
Okay.
And all we'll do is, most people will sit down and say, okay, I feel the government didn't do what I needed, and that is why I am in this situation. That is like saying you have resorted to what government didn't do for you to define who you became or what became of you.
All right, thank you very much. It's been the news, the Situation Room of Television Nigeria. We've been now analyzing the situation in Nigeria with the lockdown over COVID-19 pandemic. We'll be going on a short break, and when we come back, perhaps we'll look at some of the actions of government, some of the announced palliatives, and then how some citizens and organizations have been trying to come together to ensure that life is better during and after the COVID-19 pandemic lockdown. Join us again after this break.
environment, we have directed the Director General of the Federal Fire Service, person of Alhaji Liman Ibrahim, to collaborate with the environment, Minister of Environment, at ensuring that the entire city is adequately disinfected.
Are you sure that this disinfection and this fumigation is going to kill anything that has to do with this COVID-19?
You see, we can't say this is just to disinfect, but to give a total answer, you need to really meet the people that are in charge of all this fungal analysis. You know, it goes beyond what the fire service can just talk about. But all we believe and we hope is that this is what others have been doing in other countries. They've been fumigating the environment.
So it's a step toward the right direction?
Yes, it's a step in the right direction. And it's not only being done with the use of there. Another batch is at the secretariat where they are carrying out disinfection. You see, have another batch at the office of the secretary.
So they're all over the FCT disinfecting every place?
Yeah, presently they are all over, and it's going to be a continuous exercise for the period of this lockdown to ensure.
So before the lockdown is over, we should have registered a maximum appreciated and high level of the fumigation process coverage in the whole FCT.
We expect you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, just like a director says, whatever you see today is a joint task force work. We are working for a common goal. We want to combat this COVID-19 through the directive as given by the President Mohamed Buhari and the Federal Minister of Environment through Environmental Officer of the Education Council of Nigeria are champions this.
The government is trying to say having to be an active member of the presidential task force and being handle responsibility of fire services have made it possible for the ministry to commence the fumigation of federal government MDS. This is a unique thing that we have to be proud of him and for the Mr. President for this single action we have taken. We are very grateful to Mr. President and the Honorable Minister and our public secretary.
Thank you very much. Right behind me is the procedure of fumigating the Federal Capital Territory. This is a collaboration under the Ministry of Interior, which the fire service falls under. This is part of the essential services that is undergoing during the period of the lockdown. This is reporting from the Federal Secretariat, Peggy Shande, TN.
Thanks for staying tuned. It is still the Situation Room. You can still be a part of this program because the phone lines are open, waiting for you to call in and tell us how it is with you, with your environment, with wherever you are. Tell us. It is the Situation Room. Tell us how you feel. Perhaps somebody somewhere is listening and might have to do something that will change the situation for better. Now, we have to look at efforts. We've been talking roundly. Now let's look at efforts of government and individuals, willing individuals. It's been in the news for a while, people who have been donating millions of naira from the private sector, from corporate organizations, donating all in a bid to ensure that the fight for coronavirus is holistic, totalistic, and then that the people are taken care of in the same while the fight go on. Now, in the news we had, I think it was yesterday, the Secretary to the State Government, Boss Mustafa, was giving an update on the task force on coronavirus. He did mention that they are not in control of these funds. The special presidential task force on coronavirus, which he chairs, they're not in control of these funds being remitted, being donated by Nigerians in tackling this fight. That of all, the only thing that they can lay their hands on is materials donated by, I think, the founder of the Alibaba Group, Jack Ma. Yeah, that was the one that actually televised that people saw the government taking deliveries of those materials. Now, how do we look at this whole situation?
Well, Boss Mustafa is the SSG, and
is the chairman of that special.
Is the chairman of the presidential task force. What I don't get is, was he asking that they could not control the money that patriotic Nigerians donated towards the fight against COVID-19, or the money wasn't donated at all, or weren't donated at all? There are two ways to it. I saw in another headline where it said, nobody has given us anything.
It is almost the same. They are not in control of whatever was
credited to him, you understand? And we know there is a committee, and we also have the NCDC as the center for the fight against COVID-19 or any disease at all that is a pandemic. And if donation is to come, is it the bank account of the NCDC that people are to pay to, or to pay to the committee constituted by the president to fight, to oversee the affairs of COVID-19? So this is where we need to get it right. I have not gotten the definite aspect or institution or persons. I know the president formed with some billionaires a committee per se, but are those people, other people donating money for this fight, going to donate to them, or we pay to the central bank, or we pay to the NCDC account? That is what I want to get clear, because I'm not very clear about that.
There are committees set up. I think there are about 3 or 4 committees. There are 3 committees. Then also the presidential task force. I think there is one chaired by the central bank governor, Emefiele, which I think coordinates all these donations and all of that. So was Mustafa saying they've not seen it? Maybe it appears that there's no synergy between all these committees. Like
they're working
independently,
having their own budgetary system, having their own auditing system and all of that. So, but in the whole of it, how is it going to impact This we are talking about palliatives. We're talking about things to do. We're talking about lack of equipment, testing material, and we have millions somewhere. And then the government that should be in the center of it all seems not to be.
I think
carried along, or maybe
yes,
in the mix.
Yes, but to my own, profile that I would like to tell the government to accept and the people donating. We have a body, we have a central bank, and which is responsible under its tenet to intervene on situations like this, and also the economic situation when it gets worse. The duty of the central bank is to interject fund, to curb and fighting things like this. So I believe people should have, through that committee, donate money to the central bank if you want to. We know that it is the apex bank, but if you are aiding as a patriotic citizen or organization, you should pay to them. Then they can in turn, project or pay into the account of the NCDC or bodies like CBN approved NISAR, for instance, for people to go and get loans. So they know all the trajectories where they should pay money to for people to be helped, and the disease should be controlled and contained. Apart from that, I don't see.
Well, isn't it a source of worry that somewhere some group of people are donating money? We've seen the list, which means somebody has compiled those lists, and they mention their names and specific amounts donated.
And some people are denouncing that they paid nothing, they've not given anything that is audio money.
So how do we?
Well, I like to say most times when I think sometimes in Nigeria we can create the committees, but I think we do not run an outline of what the committee is supposed to be doing, how they will function. Because if you have a committee like the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 dealing with, inside that committee you hear the story of giving some incentives to people. You hear them talk about the loan. That kind of committee should not even be responsible again for giving out handouts. Because if you're giving loans and that same committee is responsible for giving handouts, and now it already looks like a hijacking of the whole process. When one person now says, we have not gotten this, okay, you want to handle this, you want to handle that. Now it means you can dictate who gets and who doesn't get. But when you have it's passed, it's like using a sample method. You have 3 different sets. These 3 different sets will operate differently. So if you look at it, maybe it's even better as they all operated without an interlink of all of them. Now, we us as a people are supposed to make use of our pressure groups now to be able to voice out to our leaders like what is happening. I was reading where
that pressure group can only work or could only work on press conference now.
Well, we are operating right now. People can get to us.
Exactly.
It takes you your technology. It takes you your smartphone to reach the world now. We had the ASU president, that's Professor Abiodun Oguyemi. He made mention. He advocated that he should back the lockdown process with essential needs for the citizens. Now, if we have people like this who are now coming out to talk. Because most people say the ASU only come to talk about their money, but now they are talking about people outside the university surrounding. So if we have people who are going out to air their views about how they feel things should be done, it is going to be nice. Like what we're doing here is another way. So it has nothing to do with the press release. You can put the call through and you can tell the government from this medium, this is what I would suggest. This is how I feel this should have been done. Nobody knows it all. So if the government is for the people and is by the people, then it should listen to the people to be able to reach the people.
Yeah, so one of such organizations, I think 6 lakh of the Rafsanjani, led by Rafsanjani, he did mention that he did mention about accountability, trying to take the government to charge on accountability, especially about the disbursement of these monies that Nigerians are donating to fight this pandemic. But how do you hold Nigerians, how do you hold accountable when the secretary to the federal government is saying, we don't have control over this money?
So the thing is, why is the government not open?
Exactly.
Why won't they let you know, okay, this the committee is responsible for the funds that are being donated for this effect, and this one is for this other effect. The people did not donate the money to the president.
Exactly. It's for a cause.
It's for a cause. So there should be a way to checkmate this very cause. And you know, it's funny because when you look at it, you observe when it comes to the NGO works, you do not see people pump in money from within this country that much to support a cause. So it's always from outside. This is like one of the first time that we have seen people, even some appointed people, cutting their salary into two to give half to the cause. And you're like, okay, so how do we do this? Can we make this a habit? Can we continue this habit?
Exactly.
After the COVID-19.
Yeah, like the House of Representatives, through Bajabiamila, he said he has the mandate of his people to announce that 2 months of their salaries is going to be donated to the COVID-19. The Senate said 50%.
50% of their salaries
will be donated to the. How do you collate? Who collates all of this? Is it like, okay, we've said it, where is this? How do we get it? I mean, you understand that? Then the implementation, making sure these things are used. Now, given the level of mistrust, especially when it comes to accountability and all of that, and because the important thing now, like you did say, life, people have to be alive. So if we start playing politics, talking about who is doing what and who is not doing what, and people are dying, perhaps of hunger or perhaps of want and all of that. So now, for these people that have these means, shouldn't there be another alternative? Perhaps maybe like advocate a better way of doing it. Instead of donating that 2 million, okay, perhaps a trailer load of rice to one area also to share. To make
because
sure.
since the data will not be evenly distributed and the data we have already will not be followed. That was what I was talking about, responsible government, and you said people should be responsible on their own. So there is a level to which you could be responsible as an individual or as a corporate organization or as an entity. But when you talk about holistic government, you're talking about government that you are subject to its law, to its sovereignty. I get what I'm saying. To its pronouncement, to its regulations. So that government that you pay tax, direct and indirect taxes, such government should be responsible in times like this for you.
But let me ask you
something. And it has no reason at all, no iota of reason at all to fail in its responsibility in a time like this.
And when they fail, what happens?
And when they fail, and that is why we said we at this part of the world have been denied several times our right, and we seems not to know it because sometimes
people like adapted to it.
We got used to it, and then we became contented with it that this failure is okay, but the failure is not okay. It is not okay, and since it is not okay, people who with new innovation, with new ideologies, people with new capacity to drive in government at the stratas and tiers should begin to take up position. And people, civil society organizations should begin to speak out regardless of any financial inducement or political affiliation or partisan affiliation. If we go by what is obtainable in democratic society, we will know that yes, democracy is sweeter than anything, and in this part of the world we've been denied. Okay. So if we've been denied, we should not accept that status quo.
Okay, you were going to say
something. But you just came back to my point again when you started mentioning the civil society. You see, when we say the people should do something for themselves, we are not saying operate on the capacity of the government. But you have to know the little nitty-gritty that you can do for yourself.
Good.
You see, growing up, I did a lot of advocacy work with many civil society organizations, and I noticed something. Most times we fantasize of a life we can't maintain. We talk about how we watched a particular street in the foreign countries, and we said, oh, when will our own country be like this? Then they put an incinerator in our community, and they tell us to make sure we dump all our trash there. Yeah. But you pass there and you see someone dump the trash outside this.
Right, and use it to block drainages.
It's the same thing like saying, okay, the government has not been out yet to give us our basic needs. We are angry about the lockdown. So we decided we would not adhere to the lockdown. we decided we would not adhere to social distancing. We decided we would not wash our hands.
That is not what I'm saying. Look, nobody is a child when it comes to the awareness of this pandemic. The awareness has, maximally been given, adequately been given, whether on social media, in fact, I as a person, I am tired of the news of COVID-19.
But also, sorry, I'm not cutting you, but have you heard some statements like, let the COVID-19, let the corona come and kill me?
That is an absurd thing to say. However, to say,
so
I am fully...
It has gotten to me that I gave you. You didn't make that decision. I made the decision. Why am I infecting you?
Exactly.
I am fully aware of COVID-19. As a matter of fact, I've gone indoor to do some research that I was sharing with you earlier, that I have to talk about COVID-19. I have to talk about the cause rather than what we are doing now and how we could prevent further what is coming. I get what I'm saying? Because the vision, the scientific vision into it spells that a lot are still coming our way.
We have not even seen anything.
We have not seen anything yet. We have not seen anything yet because it has not come.
Well, doesn't it sound like an alarm?
So we should be prepared.
And that is why I'm talking about the government. This preparation, you and I can handle it. At our level, we don't have the capacity, we don't have the financial ability.
So you and I makes us the other part of people who can do their part when the government...
Like we are doing now. I believe the government is listening to us. I believe some government agencies, parastatals, ministries and departments are listening to us. Some top ministers are listening, governors are watching us right now. So I am telling them using this avenue that be prepared. It is not enough to issue an order, lockdown, dispatch policemen and army to checkpoint and say close down everywhere, close down everywhere. You have to play your part in giving that order. That order is not enough. Look at what Jacqueline told us from the UK.
No, but that brings you back to playing the pressure groups, which means you're still playing the other part of people who are not government.
I was thinking what you were saying is that people should on their own work to meet up their ends.
You can't work when you're on lockdown.
Okay, good. So that was the angle I was getting you, that if the government is not helping you, what are you doing to help yourself?
Okay, now, like,
you understand? I thought that was the angle you were going. So I was putting it forth to you that no. At this situation, every government should be responsible for their citizens.
And also not just government.
And not just part of the poor.
Non-governmental organizations as well. Can we look at like an institution like the church, for instance, who have mega churches, who have churches that have
mega malls.
In fact, I've seen a church that on every Sunday they use bullion vans to take offerings.
Yes.
Bullion vans.
Church?
Yes. Take bullion. You use bullion vans to pack offerings from their church. In this Abuja, now you have this situation of a lockdown. What are those people doing? You have a database of your members. You know where they are. You are not going to call for a communal come together because of the social distancing thing. But couldn't there be ways of reaching out to these people, taking the burden somehow out of government? Now, I even have a problem with people donating, going and put it into the government, and then we're having issues of accountability. How do you disburse?
Yeah. When you have people close to you
I saw this video
on the street too, like our CEO came the other day and blessed us with money, pens in our pocket, and all of us were happy.
Yes,
at least you could afford now boast that even if a bikesman tell you that from Maraba to here, from Abacha Road is 1K, you can afford to pay. And come to work. But what happens when you don't have that 1K to pay?
Now, I'm still talking about people.
And you go to orphanage center, where to the church to donate.
2 billion, 10 billion, 100 million. I saw this video of, what's that guy's name again? American, I think you should know. This rapper, they're saying God's plan or something.
Okay, Drake.
Drake. Yeah, I watched that video recently. I don't know, I just saw it on YouTube and I looked at it. I was like, wow, nice. The guy was just walking on the street and was just dishing out money. Go to the supermarket and ask everybody to pick whatever you want.
And that is it.
Isn't it like the real time to the right time to have such
going
philanthropic things happening in our society right now.
That is it.
But we have many people from the entertainment side who have been doing that. I know this one of these defunct P Square members, Peter Okoye.
Okay, Peter Okoye.
Yes, Peter Okoye.
Is the one with the dread?
Well, Two-Face too gave money.
Yes.
And where did he gave the money to who? To NCDC or to CBN or to NISAR?
That is where
they gave the money to who? Or they gave the money to one NGO that is responsible for COVID-19?
But my own question is not even donation. It's when a particular church owner came out to say, I do not want to take the glory for something I didn't do.
And that is dunamis.
So is he saying, based on his background as a spiritual person, that he gave the money not to be mentioned, or he did not even give any money at all?
I think the thing was that he didn't give at all. People are just saying he did, but he didn't.
You know, there's this thing they talk about in the churches where they say when you give the offering, even your other hand is not supposed to.
No,
but that is not emphatic.
It
was
He was
emphatic
giving
enough.
the money, but he did not give it.
He said to lie, you cannot receive blessings from lying.
Okay.
That's
so
what
that
he
means
said.
He did.
That he didn't do what they have been speculating him to have done.
So can I trust that list?
So you can't trust the list. The list, some audio name calling and money donation could be there. And let's call it media money donation. The real one I have received is from my CEO and is in my bank account, and I have been using it. You understand? So any other one is fallacy to me, so long as I have not been credited by anybody.
All right, so it's still the situation, and we're using this opportunity to appeal to citizens. We know Nigerians will have people of means. Perhaps the efforts of government might not really be enough to get down to every Nigerian wherever they are. So if you are a man of means, if you have these millions or billions in your account and you can be able to do something, perhaps you might have to go and watch God's Plan. Is it Drake, right?
By Drake.
By Drake. And then you can drive into a neighborhood, please make sure it's my neighborhood, and do something.
Not your neighborhood alone, my neighborhood too.
Then Nigerians will be better for it. We will take a short break now. When we'll come back, still more on the Situation Room. Please don't go away.
No protection.
As he carry a knife, they spread the sickness. He carry the sickness. They spread
No protection.
As he carry a knife, they spread the sickness. He carry the sickness. They spread the sickness.
Do we turn right?
Are you there? Okay, but have you connected? Please, no.
Thanks for staying tuned. It's still the Situation Room on Television Nigerian. We've been assessing and we've been looking at the COVID-19 shutdown of Abuja, Lagos, Ogun, and some other states in Nigeria who have told the same line, all in a bid to contain the spread of coronavirus. Yeah. Gentlemen.
Yeah, we are still in the Nigerian news situation room.
Yes. So, any development? You are sharing something about interception of Katsina.
Yes, well, it's just the customs intercepted a truck that was moving, and it's discovered that it was containing goods that were from smuggled stores. So the thing is crime now. We're looking at crime. What is happening in a time where there is so much hunger? Although we don't have a lockdown in Katsina.
Yes.
But the question is, where are these stores? Where is this car or this truck coming from, or where is it going?
It's a very, very, very dicey situation. You know, we've already raised that concern about security, especially during this period. Another question is, how prepared are our security agencies to handle this situation when it really begins to manifest? It's not just about putting roadblocks on the road, asking people not to move around, having checkpoints and ensuring if you are not on essential service that you're not on the road. And we did see one of the videos about some security agencies asking people to do frog jump or just for the being on the road or being on the street. And I'm beginning to wonder, what if I mean, is the lockdown supposed to really be that severe, like stay indoors, don't even come outside? If I see you on the streets, I'm going to do stuff to you? Or how is it like in the real definition? How is it supposed to be?
I think inside the whole thing, where I look at is how much of our rights was interpreted to us concerning situations like this, because we know the lockdown and the shutdown is not part of it's not a written law in our constitution.
It's a reaction to
a reaction to a situation. But we should also remember that we have rights in our own country. So we need to know our rights.
Yeah, gentlemen, I think we have the Orange on the line.
Yes, good afternoon. Can you read me?
Yeah, we can read you, Mr. Lawrence.
Okay,
please tell us where you are calling us from. You are live on TVN, the situation room of the Nigerian news.
Okay, Mike. The situation has been largely very calm, and I think
Mr. Lawrence.
Hello?
Mr. Lawrence. The holdback is much at the position you are. Could you shift to a very friendly network prone area, please? I said the network holdback is much where you are standing. Perhaps you have to. Yes.
Can you read me?
Yeah, we can read you now.
I was saying that compliance rate on the lockdown from the areas that are monitored, we can comfortably say 5% compliance. We said all the way to record and I came back today, and at the moment I am on the Carlos area. What I have observed this morning is that the lockdown is still in place and Nigerians are complying. As a matter of fact, only the people who are open are the people selling essential commodities like food and water and education. Even though there are some little services going on and they are quite different because they need to convey essential workers and families, health workers, and other kinds of essential sectors to their workplace and back. And at the market, I also think that the price of food have not been affected at all. Even though there are some slight changes in some areas where some commodities have been up to peak, and generally prices remain stable.
Okay. All right, Mr. Lawrence. I think we will have to call you back when the network is rightly okay. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lawrence. And then it appears it's compliance.
Yeah, there is compliance.
Gradually, as the days roll over, I think it's just adapting to the change. In as much as there are some little shaky things out there, some shaky aspects when it started, but people are gradually adapting to the rule. What we're not adapting to yet is the fact that we want it like other nations. We want to see our government proactive, doing something to say, okay,
reaching out.
This is how we want to.
Apart from telling us to wash our hands and stay safe and stay indoors, what about food? I mean, people are taking it now because, I mean, this is just 4 days and we're supposed to stay 14, 10 days. Resources are going to run out. Food stuff are going to run out. Even when you open the markets, where is the money to go and buy? Especially the concerns about those who earn their living on a daily basis. So how are they going to be? How do they hold up? Will they start going from door to door begging?
It is obvious already.
At this time,
I don't understand. We've not really heard anything from the Minister of Agriculture.
Yeah.
In this whole
thing.
You know, we were talking about what narrative could we do in this part of the world. We also talked about what could we do as a nation in case the situation, continues beyond 14 days, beyond June, beyond this year. Because we heard in the first world countries where Bill Gates was talking about it would take like 18 months to develop a vaccine towards quelling this pandemic. You know what 18 months means, meaning 1 year,
1 year and
1.5 year, 1 year and 6 months. And some other quarters like China were like saying 9 months they could get everything ready in terms of vaccination. And from some quarters we are hearing the rumor that is a rumor that could not be scientifically proven yet, that the AIDS coming now could even be positive, could be, pandemic in nature too. You understand? The AIDS, like the mask, I saw a video going on viral, contaminated what do we call it, mask and hand sanitizers.
Would that mean that they are recycled or not properly recycled items?
I think Lawrence is calling back. I think is well positioned.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, I think it's clearer now.
Okay, good afternoon to you.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yes, I have been on the road in the last 2 hours observing, and I can confidently tell you that compared the areas I have visited, can be said to be about 95%. The people who are open are the market people who sell food stuff.
Okay.
And from what I have gathered, the prices of commodities have remained stable. Only a few items had their prices jacked up to 6, and generally everything stable.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Also, transport people who are operating chemical services have been able to move essential workers to their destinations. Those who cannot afford to see the lockdown, especially health workers and other essential service personnel. Above all, the people I spoke to this morning were full of praises for the government for being able to repatriate for markets, particularly for
All right, Mr. Lawrence, in other words, from your area in the FCT where you covered, there is compliance.
Yes, there's compliance. That compliance is not 100% because there is a little bit of movement. But I can tell you confidently that about 90 or 95% compliance. Every other person is saying that the people I have been able to interact with are people who actually, genuinely needed to be out, especially health workers and some who are in the market, trying to purchase
All right.
1 or 2 items for their family.
All right, thank you, Mr. Lawrence, for that wonderful report to the Nigerian News Situation Report on COVID-19.
Thank you very much.
All right. Now, one concern.
Yeah.
He did mention about transporters taking people on essential duties,
Yes.
being allowed to move around. And what about the hike in the fares?
Yeah.
You see, like I experienced. We talk about
that,
these things.
that is why you were given.
It was a very good. It was a big.
But you were given allowance for
no,
the
it's
hike.
not about the allowance. It's not about the allowance. What
Exactly.
about the person that doesn't have an allowance?
Exactly.
Now, it was a heated argument, and people like, they've reduced fuel price.
Why
Why do you have to increase the fare? And he was saying, okay, how many cars did you see on the road? You should even be happy that you saw a car to take you. And I'm like, okay, so you are on the road and you're taking people. So do you have to take an advantage of, okay, because of there's lockdown?
Yes, I think you have a point.
This is we now. This is
we, not government.
Not government now.
Yeah, not government. You have a point. I just have to come in quickly. Nigerians actually have that attitude when the opportunity arises. Some people said it's quick money, while others, like me, look at it as wickedness. Do you know that even at, this popular Abacha Road, when you're coming to town from Abacha Road, and once it is 8 a.m., if you've not moved from your house from 4 a.m. or 5 a.m., once it is 8 a.m., the queue, because of the traffic jam, sudden hike in transportation will just come up. Maybe going to area 1 is supposed to be 100 or 150. They tell you area 1, 250.
And they keep moving, so you just
and it is not as if the fuel price doubled just because people queued to get vehicles to their destinations, places of work. You deliberately hike the price of the transportation.
It has become a normal thing.
And they will carry 4 persons behind a seat that's supposed to take 3 persons, 2 persons at the front for a seat that is meant for 1 person. So it is an attitudinal thing. The Nigerian man, the African man, has not, trained himself to adapt to civility.
So should we now be mentioning government?
No.
Government is not doing
that is why I said I have to blame also our attitude and our characters that we display. It is unbecoming. And we oftentimes throw blame on the government when we see laxity on the part of the government. That doesn't mean we should not talk about the government. But we ourselves, the change that we crave for, the better environment that we need, the better display of content and character should come from within us. And these things will go a long way bettering our society.
Yeah, because there's been this talk that who actually is government? Is it not? It's you and I. We are the ones that elect people. You are the ones that keep them in office. It's our tax.
And they'll tell you, stay there now. Now your father buy this motor for me.
Exactly.
The truth is, this attitude has been in Nigeria, I think, since the oil boom era of 1980s. They have always been doing this, where people hijack. There are people who even stall things just to inflate the price.
Yes.
We're having this conversation with somebody in Makodi, and the person told me, in as much as they're on a lockdown, they said the social distancing is on 0 level. Because you still see people sardined in a car.
Yeah.
And the person said sometimes drivers act like if they had a chance, they will share their own seat with someone.
Just to make money.
Just to make that money. Now people are sardined in cars with poor ventilation, because most of these cars had extra works by welders. They've seen something.
It's terribly. That is why I said if truly COVID-19 comes to the country, it will wipe millions in 1 hour because of our attitude, because of our character, because of the contents we display. And it is pathetic. It is very, very pathetic. We are in a sorry state. The way we handle our environment, the way we relate to each other, the way we take ourselves, we take opportunity, negative opportunity over everything. Every slice opportunity we capitalize to cause mayhem, to cause hardship on other people. Probably that is why when we get to government, because of this display of, ill behavioral attitude, we tend to continue like that, and it becomes a system. So a system actually begins from the nucleus of your home.
All right, this lockdown is going to take a while. Perhaps after the 2 weeks, we might see an extension. And the rains, it rained a couple of days ago. Soon it will be time for farming and agriculture. What's going to happen? Nobody thought about, is it going to affect farmers? Should the lockdowns prevent people to go to their farms to till the ground and start planting and all of that? You know that in some places it's more of a communal effort.
Yes.
People to community lands and they come together and do stuff. Is it going to affect it? So what is going to be the long-term effect on the economy as well, looking at it from that directive? You did mention we've not heard anything from the Ministry of Agriculture. What is the plan for this lockdown? Yesterday it was said that
I think they said we have food security too.
Yeah, the president announced that they should, from the strategic grain reserve, they should give out grains, I think 70,000 metric tons to the poorest of the poor, which still remains. How do you know who these people are? How will these grains get to these people?
You know, when the first day on Situation, there was something we did talk about when we said Nigeria don't have people who serve as think tanks, people who can think into the future, people who, when they are told of a particular situation on ground.
Did I hear you say Nigerians don't have it?
I'm talking about the government now.
Okay, the government deliberately don't want to have them.
Or perhaps we have, but like it's
they are not listening to.
Is the implementation of all these suggestions. Okay, have you wondered how many, the number of aides the president has, the governors has, the ministers
has? But most of these aides are selected based on my friend's son has to have
That is why I say based on political party affiliation, or
okay, so it's just a portfolio, not really
a portfolio. And that is why we get it wrong. You understand? If you want to be administrative in your political, display, people tend to look at you as you too know. You understand? You too know. Now only you come. Now only you think say now Nigeria we do. You understand?
They might dig into something.
And sometimes I begin to wonder, what do you mean Nigeria we do? You are trying to correct a system, a bad system that you probably must have been pained from. And you get to the system, you want to make things happen, just like the president came and he had wanted to make things work positively for Nigerians. And you saw, say corruption started fighting back. And eventually he was poisoned, taken to Europe, came back, and he has never remained the same again. And the same thing, when you as an individual at a lower cadre of political office, you display character, you display content positively, you display the charisma of leadership, your colleagues will be like, you think saying only you come? What do you mean? What are you even thinking, sir? So we have become contented with failure, and we think it has become a normal livelihood to live by, and it's absurd. So we have to change. If the change we want to dream of, or we are dreaming of, refuses to come, we have to multiply ourselves. I put the content in you, just like I'm talking to the audience now, and then we'll begin to display that character of competency, charisma of leadership, and it pays in the long run. Whether somebody is paying you now or not, in the nearest future, your seed is going to produce what? The fruit that you desire.
All right. Still in the situation now, we are talking about change, and we did mention that the catalyst for change just might be COVID-19 situation.
Yes.
Because everybody is thinking right now. We don't know the next thing. Big men are not flying away to abroad. They are not. The jets are all silent. The big clubs, the big spenders
are closed
down, and we are all at the same level. And all we are thinking right now is survival, which, if you ask me, is a very good catalyst for change.
Yes.
When we do come out of this situation, we hope we're going to come out far better than we are. A change in our thinking, a change in our attitude is what Nigeria actually requires right now. We just finished talking about some economic activities, how it's affecting us. Right now, we'll be going a quick break, and we will see how the COVID-19 is actually impacting on the economies in the markets in and around the FCT. Join us again.
Nigerians are observing a stay-at-home order due to the coronavirus pandemic in the country. Following that development, food items in the market has rapidly increased. I'm in the market to find out the prices of food items in the market, so stay with us. So how has this coronavirus pandemic affected the prices of food items?
No be small thing, e affect well. Garri they say 700 naira badge. So now na 22,000, mudu 300, red 350, badge before 12,000, now 22,000. Rice 30,000 badge. This one it don't pass corona. Food hungry won't keep people for house. May they help us. No light. How person go there for house without light? They must come outside, come take breeze now. Corona hungry, people won't die. May they help us. Make Buhari help us. May they help us. May they open way for us.
What about your customers? Did they come soon?
Oh, they no come. Oh, they no come at all. They no come.
Why you think so?
They no come. Some people they come in for phone say they won't buy credit. I say if you sell credit, I'll go buy another one. People they hungry well. So may they help us.
Actually, it affected it because in the place of transportation, made these things to get higher. Then, like what we normally sell, like even garri, rice, is growing higher because of maybe the transport and other things. In the food items is growing higher actually. Like rice now is about 30,000 a bag. Then garri, which goes at about 15,000 before, goes about 20-something thousand. a bag of gari. And then the transportation, bringing it down from Masaka, is always at a high rate.
So how has it affected your customers?
Well, we are just managing, just few that comes and buy, just few persons. So it's affecting us seriously because of the high cost.
So what advice do you have for the government?
Well, the government has to look into it because in the first place they don't allow people to travel, and because of the restriction, things goes higher. Transportation is high, and every other thing is high. Well, we are hearing that the government has to share things to the people, but for now we have not seen anything in any residence in here in Kurunduma, and we don't know why it's like that. I think this is okay.
I want the government to listen up.
Yeah, I want them to know that it's good for them to go house by house as a resident, because it's a sort of census. Because if you are going on census, you go house to house. But we have not seen anything up to now in the whole residence of Kurunduma. If that is done, we don't know. And if it is even going on, we don't know. Because we have not seen any of them.
Yeah, it's affected. Because before we used to buy food very cheap. But for now, we don't even see the food, talk less of buying. Because they block all the road that people like from Kaduna or just that they used to bring food, or Niger State, that they used to bring food. So there is no way for now. And for us that are living here in Abuja villages, we are not rich people. We are very poor people, and they block the road without giving us any food to eat. Government didn't give us food. So we are very, very suffering. Just 3 days. Even me now, since morning, I didn't eat. Since today morning.
So what are the food items that have increased?
Like yam and rice and other food, and pure water. Even pure water is very hard to get now. Because before we used to buy pure water 10 naira. But now some places we used to sell 20 naira, 30 naira because of it's very difficult to get.
So how are your customers reacting to this?
Many of our customers don't even have money to buy the things at the shop, because some of them used to go market like Gariki Market, Wuse Market and other market, and they used to go work as in the site. So for now, there is no work. They have blocked everywhere. They don't even have money to buy things in their area here. So that's why what is affecting people.
So what exactly do you want the government to do to curtail such?
What we want from government is government should help the poor people and give them food so that people can stop suffering.
It's affected very, very well, because the people that when they go work, they will come back and buy something for us. When they no work and no money, when they come, tell you to say credit. You carry the little money where you get to go buy another one, very costly, and the day man no get money to come and buy. So it affect us seriously.
What about your customers?
My customers, they are complaining no money and no food, and it's very, very affect us. I don't know what are we going to do.
So how much are you buying things now, or are you free to go and buy your things?
You are not free to go. You are not free to go buy. No motor moving like that to enter, go buy. And the little one we get, no money to come and buy for us. It's affecting us well.
So what do you want the government to do?
So I'm begging government, anyway where they go, free help to make people to move, looking for food. Let's call God, that God will help us to stop this coronavirus.
Thanks for staying tuned. It is still the Situation Room, and we have been talking about the COVID-19 lockdown. We just saw the report on this economic situation, the situation from the market, how it's affecting the market seller. And we saw the woman saying people are asking for credit, and if she sells on credit, where will be the money to buy another one. And so she will refuse to sell. And if there are perishable goods, what will she do? So we are still talking about the economy, right?
The fact is that you see people going to even ask to buy on credit. And you should know.
And now if they refuse first time, refuse second time, the third time, what would they do?
No, a normal human being, an adult, going to a shop to ask for credit, you should know the situation that led him doing that. And let me tell you, at one point or the other, all of us, we had passed through that situation too. You walk yourself into a grocery shop to ask for credit because probably you are financially not stable at that moment, financially not okay. Perhaps you've not received your salary, perhaps you've not received your allowances, you've been owed even by the government that you work for, or you don't even have any place you get the salary or emolument from. So what do you do in that situation? You must get your future by collecting on credit or buying on credit. And that is the situation. So the woman said, I refuse to sell because if I sell, where will I get the money to go and buy another one?
Well, my own concern is looking at the fact that most of these people are selling products that are actually brought into the FCT. I don't see more farming activities happening here in the FCT. So when you look at it, you say, okay, what if some of these things that you need, these basic things, we run out of them? People buy, we run out of them. Now you want to restock. It has to do with these things being imported from other states. But the problem now is there is no interstate traveling. So what do we now do?
It's a serious situation. And you now hear some people saying government is not, they're locking us down, they're not giving us food. Government has not given us food. And you're asking if government is giving you food, are you not even going to be surprised that government is giving you food?
But
so the situation is a real situation.
Like you said, the pandemic, the COVID-19 has opened the eyes of everybody, and we have seen our weaknesses, even as government, as parastatals, as individuals, you understand, as corporate organizations, we've seen our weaknesses, and we have seen that we have not been prepared for anything. For eventuality, we were not prepared. And in terms of food, when we were growing up, we know this culture, or I think it's a policy of President Shehu Shagari then, Operation Feed the Nation. We had it then, and each state has agricultural land where the large-scale farming, mechanized farming is being carried out, and you have agro-allied supplies like nutritions from fruits and supplements from oil, palm kernel, granite, pyramid too, where we used to have a pyramid. Now that we don't have the pyramid, but I don't know whether states have those agricultural facilities that should be able to cater for the state indigenes, because the indigenous of state do come there, and government sometimes used to subsidize foodstuff. For civil servants.
Yeah, I think what you're talking about is reserves.
It's reserves.
Normally, in some planned economies, you have the government proactively coming out during harvest seasons.
Yes.
They buy off the excesses.
Yes.
And they store it for rainy days. And then you sometimes you see government engaging out growers. You give them money to farm some kind of crops, give them incentives, and because they are sure that the market is there, government is going to buy it out of them.
So, but I was thinking that
times like this, they will open these reserves for people to access them at very subsidized rates and sometimes free.
But what happened? We diversified into agriculture upon inception in 2015. I'm aware that the president diversified, and the agricultural sector became our source of GDI and even our source of food. In 2019,
especially in the rice sector, there was a real revolution.
In the rice sector,
we saw what happened in the Cross River, Calabar, what Ben Ayade was doing with rice.
Yes.
We saw Ebonyi. coming up.
Ebonyi
and
rice.
also in the rice farm.
Even in Benue,
yes,
we
in
have
other
rice
part of
there.
the country. So it was a real revolution, because I think there was a time there was a ban on importation of foreign rice.
Yes.
So our local rice became really something palatable, and people were patronizing them. But over time, what stories have actually changed? We are still talking about hunger. There's even issues of food security.
Because we attained food security last 2019.
Did we really?
Yes, it was announced. I think I had a program here on.
Is it not audio announcement?
It was no, it wasn't. We get statistics of how we attained that level of food security. The former Minister of Agriculture came out, Minister Audu Ogbe, was saying that we have attained the food security needed. We produce rice, we produce
from
oil.
government sources.
But now, since the inception of this current minister, I'm not hearing anything about our food security at the state level, the food banks, agricultural produces. I'm not hearing anything anymore.
Perhaps. Well, anyway, you want to say something?
I feel if we're going to talk about food in Nigeria, we should always measure it with our population growth.
Exactly.
So when we just say we have food security, and I'm looking at the growth of the population, I'm wondering, can you curb this? That's one. Two, we have made most, like, let me just be how I view it. Now, this is my personal view. I view the present government to focus more on institution. It's institutionalized in nature, where they are looking at the ministries. You do not really see people being encouraged into agriculture. There were documentaries that were about agriculture, and you find out the young person in school does not see agriculture as a job. He sees it like you are being registered into a poverty scheme. He is looking at it, or she is looking at the white collar job, the ability to find yourself inside the Senate house, or to just be something there, not really being the senator, but can I just be something there? Because the people there look like the people who will never live there.
But I tell you, agriculture is one gold, adventure in terms of economic growth and even a livelihood that anybody should embark on.
But are we tapping into it?
But if
are we giving it the same name?
Let me tell
the way
you,
we make people feel about NNPC?
Exactly.
Are you making people feel that way about agriculture?
I am farming. I farm. You understand? I farm yam and I farm cassava. You understand?
And you still find time to wear tie.
I don't know. You see, with stipends, you could farm it. There are people who could farm them for you, and then you get them stored, and you harvest them. The people who harvest them for you, there are chemicals that could go a long way, to deal with they're talking about herbicides that can clear the.
Okay, now that you have that experience, can you comfortably tell us how lucrative it was in terms of the input, the agricultural input, the labor, and then whatever it takes, the preservatives, and then you harvest. You have to pay the labor. Sometimes you rent the land, and then at the end of the day, is it commensurate enough with all the effort you've put for you to pay off those your workers, and then you are happy that you have something, food enough for your family to talk about the one you are taking to the market to sell, to recoup.
Okay. Let's pick this call. After that, I will answer you. I think we have a situation report from Jos.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Gabriel Ikese. I'm calling you from Jos on the Plateau.
Oh, you're welcome, Mr. Gabriel from Jos.
Thank you very much.
So what's the situation on the Plateau?
Yes, the situation on the Plateau is not different actually from every other state in Nigeria as of today.
Okay.
The awareness here on the Plateau is actually very high, particularly among the elite.
Wow.
But the critical mass, however, seems not to be too concerned, even though they know the reality of COVID-19. They will tell you the economic situation is critical, and observing problems like social distance and going to the market is a handful for the security men to control here.
Okay.
Yes. But then the state government is actually doing everything possible to create the awareness.
Okay.
Yes, they have put some policy measures in place. Like only yesterday, the borders to the state was shut.
Okay.
Nobody entered the Plateau. All the exit points have been manned by
Okay. So what about the internal movement and the internal? Is there restriction to movement?
Yes. Is there a lockdown?
Yes, that's the irony here. That's the irony, actually. The place where we came to Plateau, the movement has been, free, actually, free. The transport are working, everybody is going about his business. Only the markets are being shut, except for food sellers and other essential services, like the hospital, the media men are all over, actually. Yeah, but then there are others that are the capital traders that are opening, that define the government policy, actually. But the police, of course, and the civil defense are on top of the game.
Okay. Yes, especially in the area of the police and the civil defense trying to ensure compliance. Are there any recorded situations about skirmishes or clashes between the civilians and the security forces?
No. That has not been pronounced, actually. Like I said, the critical mass are aware of the reality of the coronavirus. But then they know that the right thing to do is to probably stay home. But then the economic realities of the country today.
Exactly.
People hardly feed from hand to mouth, They must have to come out to earn the living.
Exactly.
That is the situation. The government is not, even though they are trying, but they have not provided any palliative, actually. Yes, like now they are forcing the transporter to take only one, the KK guy, they call them the Kena Pep, to take only one passenger. A driver has been used to taking 4 passengers at 200 naira. You suddenly force him to take 15 naira at the same distance. It's not going down well with them, actually. Although they have not resort to scoff with it, they are still trying to manage it. But I think that's the applied for now.
Okay. All right.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you for calling, for giving us the situation report.
Another thing, again, I think you should need to know is that although as of today there is no obvious cases of the coronavirus on the plateau.
Okay.
But rumors abound that one certain family of Gengere in Just North community, local government, has the virus, but the chairman came out yesterday to deny or refute that claim. He said that has been tested and has returned negative.
It's okay.
That's good news.
Yeah.
That's good. Thank you very much, sir, for reaching the Nigerian News Situation Room from Jos Plateau State.
Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Thank you, sir. All right, Nigerians complying. But I think it's a different situation in the Plateau. I think I wish I'm in the Plateau right now. If you can have a lot of freedom to move around, aside from if you have anything to do outside, just going out or coming in might be a problem.
Yeah.
But internally, I mean, having a measure of lockdown where the markets are open, especially for essential goods and services, I think it's a good one. A good one.
The one that baffles me is the one he said that those tricyclers they were restricted from carrying 4 or 3 passengers except one, and maybe you used to carry 4 passengers, 3 at the back, 1 at the front, to get 50 naira per person, which is 200 naira, and now you are asked to carry 1. You are subjected to carrying one now, 1 person. Will the 1 person pay you the 200 naira or still the 50 naira?
They might be thinking of a hike in this situation.
So you can see the scrutiny on the common man, and they will say it is because of the action of terrorism that has been there, insecurity, and coupled with this pandemic lockdown now. But there has not been lockdown in Plateau State anyway.
And they don't have much of the disease.
The disease now. Even the case that they had there, Hassan Saleh, they said.
Saleh, he's a politician, I think.
And they said the test came out to be negative instead of the rumor going around, making a round that is positive, and he has brought the situation to Plateau State.
All right, it is still the Situation Room, and we have a situation, we have the dawn of reality. COVID-19 is real, and it has really started taking its toll on Nigeria. Before, we used to think it was a European thing, it's an Asian thing, it was a Chinese thing, but right now it's African, it's in Nigeria, and we are dealing with it. It is time for reality check. Time for reality. We did mention that COVID-19 might be a catalyst for change. Yeah. Right now, let's just look at this commentary, which I decided to tag the reality of COVID-19. Just take a listen, and maybe when we come back, you tell us what you think. Nobody is thinking about business. Nobody is planning when to travel. Nobody is busy reading for an examination. Nobody is saving for a vacation. Clubbing is not coming to mind. People now realize that above the hustle and bustle, it is life that really matters. No thanks to coronavirus. Our communities that were overpopulated have suddenly been rid of holdups and congestions. No more rushing to work and catching the early bus. No more struggling to catch the attention of bosses or superiors, as social distancing is now the new world order. No thanks to coronavirus. Spending lavishly on parties is no longer a trend, as hotels and brothels are shut down, casinos and gambling arenas are deserted, while the almighty football leagues across the world have bowed to the power of a tiny, invisible creature. No thanks to coronavirus. Money has become useless to the rich, as wealth has failed the wealthy, while the powerful is rendered powerless. The rich, who used to fly out of the country just to buy ice cream, are now left at the mercy of the local grocer, who he has not spared a glance in the past 6 months. Fathers now understand what it means to have a family, while some mothers now understand how risky it is to place their children above their husbands. Perhaps politicians will turn a new leaf. Perhaps they might begin to pay attention to that local health center that has lacked as little as a syringe for the past couple of months, since their health heavens overseas are no longer accessible with the closure of both local and international flights. No thanks to coronavirus. Now we understand that going to worship places is not the same as going to God. As more than ever, your faith alone is not enough to save you from the present realities. Perhaps religious leaders will learn that it is better to build men than to build 100,000 capacity auditoriums. Of what use are those beautiful edifices now, when the members don't even feel that today is a worship day, and salvation from COVID-19 far outweighs eternity and destination of souls? No thanks to coronavirus. Earning a degree may no longer be a priority, as mothers no longer need schools to teach their children the importance of cleanliness and hygiene. Education might no longer be a do-or-die affair, as professors are now in their rooms, their certificates and degrees totally useless. No thanks to coronavirus. Whether COVID-19 is the handiwork of men or a divine arrangement, one thing is sure: when this is all over, a little sanity will be restored to humanity, and the world will move back a few centuries when men still had their sense of being human. All thanks to coronavirus. Many thanks for staying tuned. It's still the Situation Room, and we just listen to the reality of coronavirus.
There are so many points to drive home.
Oh my God!
Honestly,
the one that amuses me is that where the big auditorium seems to be empty, but and the religious leaders seems to be at distance now to prove to us that the auditorium is not the house of God. We are the houses of God, the temples of God himself. So it is in your closet, God is there with you. It has been proven now that people who wants to capitalize on do not forsake the gathering of the saint. You understand? And now the Bible also said, if your right hand causes you to sin,
cut it off.
Cut it off.
Okay, so and then you look at the professors with their
degrees are now in their houses, and the degrees are rendered useless. That is, mothers don't have to send their children to school.
Everybody knows how to wash hands now.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's like we said, catalyst for change.
Yes, catalyst for change.
That's one of it. There is a good side to everything. Yes. It's not all bad about the coronavirus. Yeah. Now reality is mothers are staying at home. Fathers now stay at home, I think, to the joy of mothers.
Exactly.
It's just like how Jacqueline said, Jacqueline said, after this is all said and done, that the world will not be the same again.
It will not. It will not. It's a whole lot of things definitely has to change. All thanks to coronavirus. All right. Thank you very much for being part of the Situation Room today. We have been talking about the impact of coronavirus on Nigeria. It is still a lockdown and the Situation Room will continue. But that will be when we'll come back to your way again on Monday. It is a weekend, and it is the first weekend on a lockdown. Perhaps you are going to be storing up your experiences. Be sure we are going to come on board, and we are going to call you because you share it, because we are here because of you. And as we go about our business, about our quarantine, as we enjoy our lockdown, please always remember to adhere strictly to all the guidelines put out there by the Center for Disease Control. Maintain the social distancing. Ensure you wash your hand and every form of hygiene. Please do everything possible to stay safe this time because we need you alive. A living dog, they said, is better than a dead lion. Thank you very much. It has been the Situation Room, and Daniel Atai has been on board.
Thank you very much for having me.
And May 11 or so.
Thank you very much.
So the Situation Room shuts down right now to open again, and we will see you hale and hearty. Please stay safe for Nigeria. Thanks for watching. I am Charles Ibe. I will see you again, definitely. Here are some news updates for Friday, the 3rd of April 2020. Nigeria on Thursday recorded 10 new cases of COVID-19, bringing the total confirmed cases to 184. Out of the new cases, 7 are in Lagos and 3 in Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. The Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, announced that out of the 184 confirmed cases of COVID-19 reported in Nigeria, 20 have recovered and been discharged, with 2 deaths recorded. A breakdown of the cases by states in real time currently has Lagos leading with 98 cases, followed by the FCT with 38 cases. Osun State trails the FCT with 14 cases, Oyo State has 8 cases, Akwa Ibom has 5, Ogun and Edo are tied at 4 cases, Kaduna and Bauchi State has 3 cases, Enugu and Ekiti has 2 recorded cases, while Rivers and Benue brings up the rear with 1 case of the virus each. President Muhammadu Buhari on Thursday directed the Ministry of Finance and National Planning to ensure prompt payment of workers' salaries henceforth to cushion the hardship in the wake of the ongoing lockdown to check the spread of the novel coronavirus nationwide. He also ordered the ministry to ensure the protection of critical infrastructure like road and rail, as well as seek inputs locally to strengthen the nation's economy and protect the poor and the vulnerable. This came after the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning and Chairman of Presidential Panel to review the impact of the coronavirus on the economy, Hajia Zainab Ahmed, briefed the President on the latest developments relating to the scourge. A member of the committee and Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Timmy Silva, admitted that the economy was not in the best of shape owing to the COVID-19 outbreak and the free fall of oil prices, hence the need for the constant briefing of the President, while the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, added that economic growth problems that might eventually lead to recession are likely expectations in times of global pandemic. The federal government on Thursday attributed the increase in the number of COVID-19 infections in the country to the nation's porous borders, predicting that there could be more infections in the eastern flank of the country as people move on foot across borders. Chairman of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 and Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, At the daily briefing of the task force revealed that the federal government, as a result, will put in place measures to control movement of nomadic herdsmen who go across borders in search of greener pastures for their cattle. The federal government also appealed to state governments to establish expandable 300-bed capacity facilities to hold suspected cases of the virus before they are transferred to isolation and treatment centers. The Presidential Task Force on the novel coronavirus pandemic has said it has no control over the multi-billion naira contributions so far been announced by various donors towards the fight against the pandemic. Chairman of the task force and secretary to the government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, who gave the clarifications on the operations of his special group, said the only thing so far received by the task force was the materials donated by the founder of Alibaba Group, Jack Ma. According to Mustafa, there are 4 fronts through which governments, organizations, individuals and bodies had rallied to pool resources together to fight the COVID-19 in Nigeria, adding that only one of these fronts is linked directly to his task force. These 3 fronts, he said, had their independent governance structures for the management of the resources, both financial and material, generated within their loops, adding that they all had the auditing mechanisms over which the Nigerian government had no control, stating emphatically that the Presidential Task Force has not received any donation directly in terms of cash for this exercise. And that's the news update at this time on Television Nigerian. Thanks for watching. I am Charles.